Las Vegas is one of the most unique rental and ownership markets in the country. If you're renting here, your options are diverse. From high-rise condos on the Strip, single-family homes and HOA communities like Green Valley, Summerlin, and 𝗟𝗓𝗓, to townhomes in Green Valley, the lifestyle choices are endless. But here's the challenge. Rental prices and interest rates are connected. When rates rise, some buyers get pushed out of the market, and they end up renting instead. That drives rents higher. And right now in 2025, we're seeing exactly that play out across the valley. So what does that mean to you? Should you buy or should you rent in Las Vegas right now? That is the question that we're going to be tackling this week on the Zarcone Report. If you needed to make that decision today, what would you lean forward? Renting with flexibility or buying to lock in your future? Drop it in the comments. I'd really like to hear your input. So let me tell you about Maria. Maria is a single mom that moved here from California. She's ex-military and she has 2 kids, one in elementary school and one in high school. Like so many others, her priorities were clear. She wanted safety, good amenities, she wanted to be close to a school, so for her kids, and not too far from the Strip for her commute. But here's the challenge. Maria was torn. Should she rent first and keep things flexible, or should she buy right away to lock in a place for her and her kids and build some equity in the meanwhile? We looked at both rental options in the Henderson, Green Valley area and in Summerlin. And with every home that we looked at, she weighed the same question. Am I throwing my money away if I rent, or am I overpaying if I buy? By the end of this episode, I'll tell you what she chose and why. But as we go through the pros and the cons, the math and the strategy, I want you to think about what you would do if you were in her shoes. So let me ask you a question. If you were Maria, balancing 2 kids, working on the Strip, and considering long-term stability, would you rent first or buy right away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd really like to hear what you have to say. This is the conversation I had with Maria, because as a professional, my job is to present everyone with the facts so that they can make an educated and best decision for their family. We started with the pros of renting. Lower upfront costs, basically they need first month, a month deposit, and any other little deposits that they might require. She would have flexibility if she's not sure how long she would live in Las Vegas. And of course, no responsibility for repairs or any property taxes. Maria just nodded quietly and took it all in. Then I laid out the cons. You build 0 equity, rent increases year after year. You also take the chance that the landlord will not renew the lease, whether because they want to sell, move into the place themselves, or maybe they would want to raise the rent and the new rent fee would maybe be unaffordable to you. At the end, you have nothing to show for all those payments. She gave me that silent look, that look that indicates that the wheels are turning. Then we moved on to the buying pros. You start building equity right away, you lock in your payment long term, and when rates drop, you get to refinance. Renters don't get to do that. But of course, there's cons as well. Higher upfront costs, closing costs, and HOAs when they are there. And yes, rates right now might make payments look a little heavy. I told her this is not about pushing you into making a decision one way or another, but it's about making sure that you have all the facts that you can make the right decision for your family. If you were Maria, what would you focus more on? The flexibility of renting or the building equity by buying right away? Maria and I sat down at the kitchen table and ran some numbers together. I told her, let's make this simple. Let's run these numbers side by side. Here's what renting is going to look like. $2,500 a month for a 3-bedroom home. First and last month rent deposit, approximately $7,500. In 5 years, she'll spend about $150,000 rent. And at the end of it all, she'll have no equity. And remember, there's always a chance that the landlord raises the rent or decides not to rent it out anymore. Maria looked down for a moment, silent, like she was really letting that sink in. Now here's what buying will look like. A home in Henderson for about $500,000. 10% down, that would be $50,000, plus about $10,000 in closing costs. However, in this market, I told her, we have a good possibility that a homeowner will either cover partial, and if we're lucky, they'll cover all the closing costs. So for monthly payment, today's rate would be $3,200, including HOA. Over 5 years, she'll spend $192,000. But here's the difference: about $70,000 of that will go towards your principal. Plus, she'll probably see another $70,000 to $90,000 in equity at a conservative rate of between 3 and 4%. I paused for a moment and I asked her, do you want to pay into your own future or into the future of the landlord? So let me ask you, if you were sitting across from me, as Maria was, and I showed you this map, what would you do? Rent for flexibility or buy for equity? Drop your answer in the comments. So what did Maria do? She realized that even though renting seemed safe, she'd lose too much ground long term. So she bought in Henderson, a 4-bedroom in 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓. The community feel, the schools, and the chance to build equity sealed the deal. Here's my take. Renting isn't wrong. It's not wrong if you need flexibility or you're just getting settled into a city. But if you're planning on staying in Las Vegas for over 2 years, buying almost always puts you ahead. It's not about short-term pain and interest rates. It's about long-term gain in equity, stability, and appreciation. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of the Zarcone Report. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment with your questions. I read everyone. And if you know someone that's thinking about moving to Las Vegas, share this with them. It could change the way they see their options. And remember, real estate is not just about buying or selling a home. It's about strategy, timing, and having someone on your side that knows how to put the pieces together. I'm 𝗟𝗲𝘁'𝘀, and I'll see you next Thursday on the Zarcone Report. You guys be safe and be kind.